your talent changes everything. And your talent is what you were given when you were born, or your authentic self. And then what happens is, as you live your life, if you decide to move to your talent, you live this really great life, and then you make a contribution to the world, because that is why you were born. You may think, well, I don't really have that talent, and that would be the thinking that has caused you not to understand how important you are, and especially not to understand how important you are right now living on the planet, because the planet is changing and you are supposed to be here to help that change occur. But we don't always accept that. See, that was also the title of an email, a message that I received from Wilhelm last year on this date, and that's what it said. Your talent will change everything. But accepting that is always challenging. So if a year goes by and I can say, okay, maybe I can accept that a little bit more. But it wasn't just for me. I was supposed to tell you that, because it's all of us, you see. When we accept who we are and our authentic selves and our life path, our life journey, then we live this great life and we contribute to the world. And when we don't, our lives go into chaos, and then we see chaos in our world, because we are that important. No one's creating the world but us. And I'm going to prove it to you, because I know that you are here now to do something tremendous. You might already be doing it if you're just kind of, gliding by and just happen to listen to this video. You're probably already doing it, and you're really happy, and you're abundant, and you're doing everything that you came to the world to do, and you haven't let it go, and you're doing it. That's why you are changing everything, because you decided that you were going to embody your authentic self. You were going to live that and be in joy and happiness, and that's what would happen. But then when you don't, you have difficulties, and I can tell you all of them. But let's read the message from last year, and then I'll explain the rest of it, because the message is quite revealing, because nothing is accidental. We weren't born accidentally. Nothing in the world is happening accidentally. As you look outside, if you see things going on in chaos and wars and all of that, it's not accidental. We're doing it. We planned it. We all did. And so now we get to change it, and that's what's occurring. But let me read this message to you, because this will it's going to make me become more accountable. And that's what you're supposed to do as well, because the only difficulties that we experience in our life, they're really not difficulties, they're just our unwillingness to change, our unwillingness to accept who we have become, or the new parts of us, because that's what happens. We change in our consciousness from the time you are born and walk through the world. That's what you're doing. Every single day you're making a new choice about that, and whether or not you're going to accept yourself. And you're never done with that, because we only do that in our consciousness, and our consciousness is unlimited. We're not always willing to accept it, though, as even I wasn't. And so you'll understand that today, though, because I really want you to have an idea of how valuable and important you are now. And when you start understanding it, you will accept yourself a bit more. Now, see, last year I was told your talent will change everything, but we hadn't done that. I hadn't gotten there, so it said today your faith will be much stronger, because it takes a while for us to believe certain things. So let's go back to October 11th, 2020. Your faith will be much stronger today. It is a powerful tool for navigating your physical life experience. But we have been guiding you, and today you will express gratitude to your guides, yourself, and us. Then last year, your talent will change everything. You each come to the physical plane with gifts and talents to be unearthed at the right time in your life and that of your planet. You may not recognize and own them immediately. When you are reminded, as we will do today, you might do as we advised our messenger. Your world needs you now. So now we're going back to October 11th of 2020. Non-resistance is much easier. We have been sending Roger so much information that he doubted he could interpret it accurately. Like you, he continually doubts what he is capable of achieving. You will all be impressed by how we tie so much together in this message. We have told you of the restructuring of your world. You as the individual, your connections to your ancestors, past lives, and even civilizations, all complex concepts to understand or attempt to accept while you are in human form. This morning we awaken Roger with the words from his grandmother. All is well. His mother told Roger the story of attempting to reach his mother before her death, but being unable to do so before his grandmother's passing. Roger's mother last telephone conversation with his grandmother was, "All is well." Roger wondered how his grandmother could know that, as she had known so much that Roger admired but could not comprehend entirely until now. We have also spoken of Roger's admiration for Martin Luther King Jr., but today we told him to go deeper, as many of you are doing. We said to look at Martin Luther. It never dawned on Roger to investigate that connection, and even a glimpse of that material began to make the connections between Roger's life, his grandmother, and King Jr. We said non-resistance is easier because each of you has been resisting the gifts, talents, and abilities with which you were born. But do not judge yourself, for that is counterproductive and indicates you have yet to accept the process of evolution. Contemplate that sentence for greater clarity. I'm going to explain that now because we all have a history. We have a generational history. We have a past that can be valuable if we understand it. And so my grandmother was this wonderful woman who could heal anything. She was a Christian Scientist. That's how I was raised when I was younger. But I would watch her heal things, and I go, how is she doing that? What is going on there? And then we were in this religion called Christian Science, and I go, okay, well, that must mean something. Because, see, we start to understand that science over time gives us the ability to create our lives in different ways. And then that idea of being Christian maybe says, maybe we're supposed to all do that, or maybe there's an idea behind that word that means loving ourselves and loving others. Maybe that's what's going on. But to accept that we have the ability to really make that great a difference is challenging. And that's only because you've been talked out of it. But that's a generational thing. So let me tell you a story why I'm talking about it today, because I'm also going to invite you to a channeling conference that I'm going to do on October 19th. This is for Gaia. There are going to be 5 of us there who are channeling information about what's happening in your life and in our world, and from different perspectives. But I'll tell you what my perspective was and what I was given. Most people didn't know me as the person doing channeling and doing all of that. I've had a career, many different careers and different lives. But since 1989, I've been receiving guidance through Wilhelm, and it turned into a philosophy. And that philosophy is called Your Life Operating Instructions, but it's in a program called Your Last Development Program. And let me tell you what it did. It healed me, because what it does is it connects you to your consciousness. It connects you to your authentic self. Now, I could tell you that I had done this, but I didn't. I received all of this information for all of these years from Wilhelm. And so I'm saying Wilhelm is the ones who transform your life and could transform our world. Because then it was given to me that all of this information, because we look at the world and we can see what's happening, and they said if more people knew who they were, you wouldn't be having wars. You wouldn't have people who were suffering, because they would understand that they have the ability to create and manifest the lives they want to have. We've heard about these ideas of self-actualization and all of those things, and how do you do it? Then we start to understand that it's all in our consciousness. Consciousness has energy. Everything in the world, in the planet, has energy. And so what we decide to do with that energy is up to us, because we have free will. And so if we're choosing thoughts and actions that are of love and of a higher vibration, then we're going to evolve. And then what happens is our society evolves as well, because that's how it works. And we can look at our world over centuries and see that it was very different many years ago. And every year what happens is that every civilization, let's say, gets a little bit better. But we have to be the person to cause that to happen. So this is what occurred. In 2021, I'm going for a walk. Now, I've been receiving Wilhelm since 1989. But in 2020, I knew that things were changing in the world. Most people thought it was just the pandemic. I knew it was more than that because I was receiving different information. It said we were moving through a restructuring and we could have wars. We could even bring back a leader like a Hitler. That was one of the messages that came through at that time. Because when we go through a generational change of civilization, those are the things that come up. We have to look at all the things that have not served us as individuals and also as a collective consciousness. And so for me, because of what I've lived, what became more important was moving beyond racism and misogyny. And so I didn't know why I was doing that, because I thought that I was going to do something like a Martin Luther King Jr. You know, you have these ideas of who you're going to be. But I didn't feel that one. But then it became something different because, see, it wasn't just for a specific group of people. It was for all people. That's why it's been challenging for others to understand what the work that I've been doing. But my work and what Wilhelm gave me said we could uplift the entire planet if more people would decide to let go of their grievances, because that's the only reason we're still having wars. They gave me in a channeling session, they said years ago, the issues in Israel and Gaza, they've been going on for centuries, and unless you change the consciousness, you're going to keep doing that. And you're going to keep doing the same thing in your life until you decide to change. And then we see, oh, wait a minute, we are the ones who are creating the world. We can get into the quantum sciences and understand everything is entangled, and it is. So then, in 2021, I discovered that I had been given a specific philosophy, and it was so aligned with the universe. And I didn't realize that for 35 years I had been downloading information that was talking about the energetic changes that were happening in the world. So they said, you got to put this out there and give it to people because they'll understand. I didn't want to do that. I held back because, see, we doubt ourselves as well. I did that. And then people did this work and they changed, and I was just like, what happened? And I still tried to hide from myself, and I'm saying that because we all do it. Because whatever we're supposed to do is still in front of us, and we don't know if it's going to happen or how it's going to turn out. And that was my problem. Is it going to work? And it worked beyond my wildest dreams, and that was even more confronting for me because now I knew that I can answer anyone's question. When I start doing live channeling, that's when it became really apparent. Because we're all connected. I was told that I was given a message for anyone on their birthday in 2012. I doubted that. And then I started doing it, and it came about. Wilhelm said, well, when any person was born, there was an energetic code at that time of their birth, and it's connected to the universe, and when they figure it out, then they start to live this great life. It was fun. I did that with several people yesterday. We went to not only their birthday from 2012, but other years, because it's aligned, and that's what has happened. So to wake up and discover that I had spent all these years downloading a philosophy that had the ability to transform someone's life and then the world, I know I'm not going to see that. I'm not going to live that long. I'll be 74 in a couple of weeks, so I get it. However, I know that anyone who does it now, they will change and transform their lives, and they pass that on to others. And it was about up-leveling our consciousness and up-leveling humankind, basically. And that's what we're going through. Now, you can read the messages on Any Advice for Today, and you'll understand all of it. But I did something the other day where I created this little ebook. Well, I created several of them. I called my mini library. But the one that I did on February 19th of this year said, accepting this message will change your life and the world. Because again, you'll see that when you move through it, you start to look at yourself differently. You start to understand who you are. You start to love yourself. And then when you start to understand energy, and how important that aspect is, you'll start using it a lot more. And that's what I moved through for all of these years and put it all down. It was something, I didn't know why I was doing it. I'm saying that to you as well, because you've probably built up something or developed something or something that's within you that you haven't even noticed yet. I didn't know that I had this, but that's how we all evolve. But then coming into the world and bringing something new, like what I have done, because this is a new philosophy. It was one, they said, we want you to do something different. You're not going to have, that's why the Martin Luther thing was there. You see, because Martin Luther was one who said, we need to break away from that old system. didn't understand that. We need to break away from that old system. And then the reason that they put Martin Luther King Jr. in there, because Wilhelm led me to that understanding. That wasn't his name. He was born a king. Michael King. That's how he was born. But his father saw something was different in the world when he was traveling to other places in Europe. He saw something's not quite right. And so he admired Martin Luther, and he says, I'm going to use that name. That's what we do. We can assume an identity or an energy of a person who has come before, and then we can create something better because they brought us information then, but now we can do something more. And that's what I was given. And accepting that was challenging. It took me a lot of years, but the end result was I got rid of my judgment. I got rid of my self-hatred. I got rid of my hatred of others. That was a big challenge. I had to really work on that one. And then what happened as a result of it, I started to heal in ways that are unbelievable. And that is everything that I'm going to document, because we can do anything. There are things that we've been told that are impossible. I'm telling you, they're not. And the ones that I've cured so far, and I'm going to do so many more, the cluster headaches was a big one, and then all of my body and back aches and all gone. And so all of the things that were just allergies. I mean, all of those little things, because it's an alignment again. And not everyone's going to do that, however, because it may not be your path, but you might not put in the diligence, let's say, to get there. But you can, is what I'm saying, and anyone can. There's no one who's had a bad life. It just never happened. You were given something to come into this world, to understand it, and then cause evolution within yourself, and then give that to others. And that's what we're all doing now. So I'm saying this because I'd love for you to hear the channeling session. You'll get so much more. You can check out my site now, because we're in the process of changing it. I brought on other help because I have to really expand now, because I'm going to have so many people when I go to do this channeling session. It's going to be quite big, but I'm grateful for that, because now I have something that anybody can use. It was my goal to bring something that people could stay with and have a community and change, and that anyone can afford it, so there's no excuses on that. And that's what I'm completing now, so I want you to understand it. But if you look at my site, it says, achieve permanent success, because that's what you do. Because you start to develop the ability to live your life, understand your purpose, but then not to get stopped. Because now you have the skills of self-actualization, because you know how to use your consciousness. You know how to use your brain to get through anything that's there. That's what's in here. So you will have all of this, and I'm going to leave that link for the ebook, because when you read that, you will see how it changes. And I put so many in there, and you'll get all of them. But you are the most important person in your life, and you are alive because you do have gifts, and if you bring them to the world now, we will see great changes in your life and also in our world. Thank you for being here. Please subscribe to the channel and share it with others. See y'all soon.